It's time to take a look at a band cranking out solid black-ish, folk-ish, atmospheric-ish metal from Ireland. Okay, as someone who loves Irish music, I fully expected this to be somewhere along the lines of something like Elvete, with a lot of, folk elements and like ukulele and pipes and things like that, mixed in with some killer riffs. However, it wasn't what I expected, and I could say I was not disappointed. We have another Album of the Year candidate with Primordial's Exile Amongst the Ruins. But before I get started, as I do in every video, I would like to say, welcome to all the newcomers. Glad you're here, and welcome to all of you who have viewed these reviews before. So let's get started. I've harped on my love of atmospheric metal before, so I'm not going to do it again. I won't bore you guys with that. But this album is a great example of atmosphere done right. It's not too much, so that it feels as though you're drowning in an endless sea of, guitar holds and needless keyboard parts. In fact, there's no keyboard on this album as far as I can tell. But it's enough to where it's attractive to all of us atmospheric fans. I love the riffs on this album. They're slow enough to where you can appreciate them, but quick enough to where it's not doom metal, Oddly enough, they kind of remind me of the first album I reviewed off this channel, that Corrosion of Conformity album, way back in January. That was a long time ago, wasn't it? They have that sort of 70s-esque blues-ish atmosphere about them, while continuing to retain that idea that black metal has of being very, very sort of dark and bleak. The songs are very well structured, with riffs giving way to these beautiful choruses that quickly give way back to riffs. The song lengths, I feel, are appropriate for an album like this. Now, I know what all of you who have seen this before saying, oh great, here he goes on the song lengths again. But it really does matter to me. The shortest song is around 5 minutes long, and the longest is just over 10. It feels like they really thought out the song lengths here to give ample time to appreciate the interesting atmosphere of the album. Now, I've talked about song lengths before, and I will stand by what I've said. If a song is too long, then people get bored and drop out. That was my only problem with Bell Witch's Mirror Reaper album from last year. I loved it. It was beautiful. But it was way too long. It was over 80 minutes long. And that's too long, even for Funeral Doom. Here, Primordial put on an absolute clinic of song length and musical ability matching up. The transitions on this album are also very well done. They know how to keep the introductions fresh and interesting without the same thing over and over again. Some bands stick to old adages or standbys for intros, but Primordial essentially says, screw that, and they flip-flop around between riffing intros and subtle, almost non-existent ones. It plays very well to the album's already fantastic dynamics. Now, for me, critically speaking, the album seems a tiny bit slow. I do admire how they have crafted the songs and song lengths, but the album does begin to drag a little towards the end, and the song Sunken Lungs is probably my least favorite on the album. The drummer doesn't seem to be able to find a groove or a rhythm, and the melodies aren't really as well done as they were before. But it's only slightly off, as the song is still relatively enjoyable. It still has that atmosphere that Primordial have put into this album. I love the vocals here too. You can honestly tell the amount of passion and work that the lead vocalist has put into this album. All in all, this is a wonderfully crafted album full of beauty and malice, and the yin and yang aspect, it works here. Sometimes you feel as though you're floating while listening to the album, and then the band come back and start punishing you with riff after riff after riff, and it's really great. I've never heard anything by Primordial before this album, so maybe that's an aspect of their albums that's, rather normal. I may be going and checking out some more of their stuff. If I ever had to choose between that Arcona album that I reviewed earlier this year and this one, I definitely pick Primordial any day of the week. Exile Amongst the Ruins gets a 96 out of 100 on the Yearly Perfection scale. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and mash that like button and subscribe. Also, let me know what you thought of Primordial's new album in the comments below. Next week, Kamelot, has a new album coming out. So we'll be reviewing The Shadow Theory. Have a great week, guys.